Hello, everyone. I hope everybody can hear me good and see me okay. My lighting seems a little off tonight. I'm not sure why, but it's best I could do with it. And I hope that you've all had a good start of your week. I know I have enjoyed the warm weather from yesterday and today a lot. And I hope you all are enjoying that too. My body appreciates the warm weather the most. Arthritis does not like cold weather, and I sure have that. So I'm just filling in with some gab here and to give people an opportunity to try to hop on to watch and see what we have in case they have any comments or questions or whatever that they would like to say or have answered or whatever. And tonight we're going to be talking about patterns and the different types of patterns that there are. And there's a lot of different companies that make patterns. I went through and picked out some children's patterns just because I knew there wouldn't be as large of pieces and things like that that I could show you things on. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, though, is before you get your pattern, whomever you're making this for, if it's for yourself or if it is for a child or whatever, I have a sheet that I will try to post in my group that you can print off and put the name of the person that they're taking the measurements for, and it has a body and shows you exactly how to measure and where to measure for each measurement. And you can keep that with you. When I made lots of things long ago, I always carried around a tape measure. I carried around a and still do sometimes, carried around the dimensions in my purse so that if I saw a pattern, I could look at it and go, okay, let me make sure I know what size she was in. And now, and you can't just say, oh, she can still wear that size because she may be growing or he may be growing. And you want to get their accurate measurements before you make them something to allow for that, unless it's just in a real short time frame. But every pattern has got the measurements. It has breast or chest measurement, waist, the hip, if there is a hip measurement, and the back waist length. And that's from the neck to the waist. And those things let you know if you're going to have to shorten or lengthen your pattern in any way, because some children have long waists, some children have short waists, and some children are longer legged, whatever. And so you have to measure those inseams, and you have to know what their waist size is, and you have to know where all these markings are, because in the pattern it's going to say lengthen or shorten here, and there'll be a line that you'll cut. And if it's, or you'll fold up and you'll put a piece of tape across it, or you'll cut it in two if you need to lengthen it. And what I do is the patterns come on. This one's already been cut. I don't want to. Okay, I can show you. This is one that has already been cut out. And this has got more than one size on it. And let's see what this is. This is a skirt. This is a skirt. And this, I don't know if I can show you or not. I hope it'll show up on here. It has an arrow that's running across here showing you that is the way that the grain should run. And then each different size of this. This is a big full skirt. Shouldn't have opened this one out. It's got different hemlines for the different sizes, because every size isn't the same, but every child isn't the same length. So I never cut mine off. I fold it up to whatever one I need, because if I've got a child that's shorter, they need it shorter, I'll shorten it by however much that it says the finished length will be, because it'll tell you that down here on the pattern. It'll say your finished garment measurements, and it will tell you for a dress or skirt or whatever what the finished length is, and you'll be able to measure that out and know exactly, hi Patty, what length it's supposed to be. So when you've taken the measurements for the person that's going to be wearing this, you already know what their length is, and you have to add at least 1 inch to 1.5 inches for hemming, depending on how you're hemming it. At least 1 inch, and that way you won't have any raw edges. And every pattern, and I looked at all of these just to be sure, and this skirt is from this little pattern here. I picked out some kids patterns because I knew that they wouldn't be as big of pieces, although what did I pull out as soon as I pulled one out? A big piece. I wanted to go over these things with you, because without that, and I'm going, like I said, I will link my little cheat sheet for you to print out, that you can take your measurements and keep them on it, and you can carry them with you. So when you're looking for a pattern, you can check the sizes that you have, and when you are picking it, rule of thumb has always been go by the chest measurement on a dress first, because waist and hips are a lot easier to alter. You can add inches or you can take inches out, but the bust has fullness. So you want to get the pattern that is closest to that, and then you'll alter it from there. And we'll alter a pattern on one of our lives when we get into sewing, because I'll show you how to cut everything out and how to adjust patterns to fit different people. No one is the same. You have a pattern is just that. It is a pattern that fits a majority of average sized people. But as we all know, everyone isn't an average sized person, especially children. Some children are very heavy set, and some children are very skinny little children, and very few fall in the perfect size pattern. So that's what I wanted to show you. And I wanted to show you, I have McCall's. I have an easy stitching. I have a simplicity pattern. And the sizing for all these patterns, these are all children's patterns, and they are size 3 to 6 on that one. And this one is size 3 to 8. And this one is size 3 to 6. And the measurements for every one of these, no matter what company it is, are the same for each size that's on here. So these are the Sewing World's standard sizes for that particular size. And it's the same thing with adult patterns, men's patterns, women's patterns. It doesn't matter. Teenage patterns. And there is a difference. There are teen patterns. They're called junior, miss, or whatever patterns. And every pattern doesn't just have one little outfit on it typically. Like this particular pattern has got the basic little dress pattern. You can make it without sleeves, or you can make it with sleeves. You can put a ribbon around it. You can put a ribbon with a bow. You can put that, you can make a purse, because the purse is a pattern that's in here also. And it just, these are not saying this is how you have to do this. It's saying there's some suggestions for you, give you an idea of things you can do with this pattern. You don't have to make it in the color it's showing it, any of that. Here's a pattern. I thought this pattern was very interesting. When I look at this pattern, I see pajamas. I don't know what you see. I see pajamas, and I see a gown, and I see a blanket. To me, that is saying it's sleep apparel. But on the back of this pattern, on the suggested fabrics, the very last thing that it says is, note, the garments in this pack are not intended for sleep apparel. Tell me, why would it not be intended for sleep apparel when it looks like it's pajamas? It can be. It's just a matter of what you make it out of. So if you're making this to be a dress, well, no, you wouldn't want to sleep in a dress. And if you're making this to be just a little shirt, a little top, no, you might not want to sleep in that. You might want to make it out of a cotton or something that wouldn't be, or something that just wouldn't feel comfortable, but would look great as a top. But it tells you for the pullover tops and gowns that have length and sleeve variations and machine stitching finishes. And the pull-on pants have casing and elastic waist. And there's a heart-shaped pillow. And there's a reversible blanket that has a contrasting side. So when it tells you that, that lets you know that there's two kinds of materials going to be seen here, because you're going to need double. You'll need one of each thing that's in that same amount. And it tells you how much fabric you need. I'm going to try to show it up here as good as I can. It'll have the different looks. Each look has got a letter to show which one it is. And it'll tell you if it's 45-inch material and you're making a size 3, you need 7/8 of a yard. If you're making a size 3 and you're using 60-inch material, you need 5/8 of a yard. And it does that all the way across for every size and for every type. And every pattern piece, now let's see, this isn't the one I got out. Let's see, this is the one I got out that I was going to show you on the pattern instruction. This one shows a backpack, and it shows a jumper, and it shows a little top. And if it doesn't show, and it does not show on the front here, the back piece, you can flip over your pattern, and you can look, and it will always show what the back is going to look like. So this shows the back, and I can see that it has a zipper in it. So I already know that's going to have a zipper. And the same thing for the little dress. It's got a little zipper in it. You can see little zippers on there. And this is the back of the backpack. So it's going to have straps, and it's going to need hardware, because you can see the hardware. But it's going to tell you that you need that whenever you're looking up here where it says notions. And the notions tells you you're going to need thread. And then it says for A, which is the little knit top, it says you need 1 package of straight seam binding, 1 7-inch zipper, so it tells you the size zipper you need, not just that you need a zipper. And for B, which is the little jumper, it says you will need 1 3/8-inch button and some embroidery thread, which is optional because it shows you, and I'm going to turn it back to this side, that they have hand stitched around that, a blanket stitch. And inside the pattern, it will show you how to do that blanket stitch. And then it shows for C, which is the little backpack. If I push that inside there where you can see it better. See the little backpack? Okay, it says you need 1 3/4 inch button and 4 1 1/4 inch D-rings. Now, I've sewn for a long time, and if I don't have 1 1/4 inch D-ring, I know how to cut down those straps to where they won't be that wide. They won't be 1 1/4 inches wide. I can use a 1 inch D-ring and make it 1 inches, wide. And I'll show you how I had to do that on another day, but we'll do that. And then it'll tell you that, like, top A is for stretch knits only. You don't want to make that out of anything else, because this pattern was written for stretch knits only, meaning it's already assuming that it's going to be stretchy and fit better because it's stretchy. Where if it was a cotton, it might have had to have been made a little bigger. All right, and let's see. The backpack, it tells you you're going to have 7/8 of a yard of 45 or 60 inch material. You're going to have interfacing 7/8 of a yard of 22 to 25 inch lightweight fusible, meaning you're going to have an iron to fuse that on, or a heat press, one of the two. And there's a star applique, and I guess that is one of the things that you're going to have either some fusible, like stitch witchery or something like that to go under it. I don't know. I'm not look at the directions. And a 4-inch square remnant, each of fabric and paper backed fusing web. Oh, there you go. That's like stitch witchery. That's what it's telling me. You're going to have a 4-inch square of that, and you're going to have 3/8 yard of 1/2 inch wide elastic. So everything that you need will be told on the pattern. How much of everything you need, what size of everything that you need in order to make that particular size. Now, if you've taken measurements and in this case, your child, because these are children's patterns, but whomever you're making the pattern for, what pattern you're making, if their dimensions are different than these that are on the pattern, you might, if they're smaller, well, you can still go with what it says, because it might have a nap to it or whatever. And it'll tell you when you're laying out your pattern, and this is that same thing, and I'll show you this. When you're laying your pattern out, it's got different ways. I don't know if I can get it up there where you can see it or not. Ways to lay the material and the pattern. See it? And it depends on what size it is and all that. So the first one says it's for stretch knits only, and it's 58 to 60 inch wide with a nap, meaning it has to run in a particular pattern. If it's a print, it has to be that's considered having a nap too. It may not stand up, but that print is you don't want one print turn this way and one print turn that way and them being like this right side by side. You don't want that. So that's why it tells you on the pattern what you need, and it tells you how to lay it, and it will show you this is how you fold it. This is the fold of the material right here, and these are the selvage ends. So which is different than how you're probably going to get it. You're going to have to fold it this way and match your selvages, and then lay it out according to this. Now, if you've sewn for a long time and you know how to lay fabric out, and you know how grains run and all that, you don't necessarily have to go by this, because as long as you can fit it and the grains are running the right way, then you know that it's going to be right. And like I told you the other day, my trick for velvet and things like that is I'll lay my hand on it and I'll see that the way that the arrow is running is my smooth side is down. When I take and drag my hand to the right on that material, it's not going to have that. And if it does have that, I have the piece turn the wrong way. I do not have it running with the grain because the grain is always going to be with the fabric feeling good. It's never going to be rough. It'll be against the grain if it's rough. And here you have the jumper, and it's showing you, and let me show you this too. It'll tell you how you know what it's doing here on these little layout. This will show you if the pattern is got the printed side down. That I thought I had that cut off this time. Obviously, I still don't know how to do that. I went into settings and hit do not disturb. Didn't work. But it'll have that little colored. Everybody's calling me. They don't care that I'm doing something. And this will say put your printed side up. This says put your printed side down. So that way you know this is the wrong side of the pattern, a piece of fabric, and this is the right side. So whenever you're laying it out, it's going to show you. And if it does, like this one, it's showing you want the wrong side up. And everything else is showing you want the right side up. So it tells you exactly so that you won't mess up on laying it out the wrong way. And here's another piece that shows that. I've got, hello Michelle and Angie. I'm glad you joined me. It's showing the wrong side and the right side of the material. So you can always look at that if you're not sure which way to lay your piece out. Because I have thought, am I doing this correctly? And I'll have to go back and look at it, and I'll say, yeah, I've done it right. I did do it right. I wasn't sure. But if you don't know, you have something to refer to that tells you right side of your material up, wrong side of your material up, wrong side, right side down, wrong side down. It lets you know that, and your guide to that is always written how they're going to have it. I've never seen it to be any different than this. The printed side down is the right sides down. The clear one is the right side is to be up. So after you've sewn a lot, though, you don't. I don't even look at this thing anymore, but when I started out, I sure did. And it'll show you different ways of doing it, and all of these are like, if it's got a nap, it'll have that, and it'll tell you. This is if it's with a nap, material with a nap that's 44, 45, 58, or 60. And if it has a nap, you got to lay it this way. And it might not be the same way as you laid it for the other way, the other piece. So everything is written out where you can find it. It will tell you, like this has got little special cutting notes on here. It's got a little star that says, if the layout shows a piece extending past the fold, cut out all the pieces except the piece that extends, and then open out your fabric. And this is on the fold piece. Open out your fabric and then to a single thickness, and then cut the extending piece on the right side of the fabric in the position that it's shown. So you know you're cutting the right side of the fabric, just the way it shows, but you have opened it up and you've laid it out to make a single piece because there wasn't enough to do it with the fold the way it was. So it's great that it gives you all these things. It'll show you how to know which is your salvage edge and everything. And when we go to cutting something out to sew it, I'm going to show you how to get your grain line, that you'll never not have your material where it will be straight. You just take the edge, and you make a clip, and you pull a couple of threads, and you can just rip it. Or you can pull them threads, and you can cut where those threads are pulled out, and it will be perfectly straight with the grain. Then you can measure from that edge over for everything else. And you can do that each direction. And you won't have any problem with your grain being there. I do. Yes, Angie, I do. Memory bears and pillows. Yes, I do. I have for family members and things. And I have some right now that I need to make. I haven't made yet. But I guess I'll be working on them next week, since I pretty much got caught up on all my projects. But I'm doing a fitting for someone tomorrow night. They need their dress altered for a wedding or a prom, or I think it's for prom. So I'm altering the dress this week. But everything that you need to know to make whatever pattern that you buy, no matter what it is, no matter how difficult it may look, whatever, it has it in easy step-by-step instructions, and I will show you. This one has it in English and French and in Spanish, so I guess it was a pretty popular pattern. But you just start, like if you're wanting to make the top, here's the top, and it says 1, and it tells you what to do, and it shows you a picture of it, so you know exactly how it's supposed to be put together, and it shows you where the dot is, and I'll show you how to mark those. Honey, I'll send you a private message after this is over, okay? I'll show you how to mark all the dots. I'll show you how to mark darts. I'll show you how to mark notches. I'll show you the way I do it. And it's always right. So I know I'm doing it right. It always comes out right. And I will show you how to do gathers in between. But all these little markings are important. And that's why it tells you what to do. And it tells you step by step what to do. And yes, it might take you a little longer because you're going to read every direction that's on it. And it's going to tell you, like, stitch the center back seam from the lower edge to the large dot. Well, every pattern piece tells you this is the center back. So whenever you're looking at it, I leave my pieces on until I'm ready to sew. And so I know that's the center back piece. And I know that those two pieces have to go together like this is showing. Here's the right side and the wrong side. Right side and the wrong side. So you're putting the wrong sides together. Then you're stitching it that way. So then it's going to be, when you open it up, your right side's going to be to the outside and your seams are going to be on the inside. That lets you know that. And then if it needs gathers or whatever, it tells you exactly how to do that, and that's easy. And like I said, we'll get into all those things. If like that particular dress that I showed you that has the little blanket stitching on it, it even shows you exactly how to do a blanket stitch. I don't know if you can see it or not. Step by step, how to do it. Start here at A and bring your thread around and go back here at B and come down. And it shows you step by step by step exactly how to do it. And that's the kind of things that people get all confused about. It's like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Well, you don't have to be afraid. You just have to venture out there and try it. And you'll find you can do anything you set your mind to. And if you read the directions and you don't know, and you're hung up on a step, or you're not sure how to do something, if you'll take a picture of the directions and send it to me, I'll tell you how. I'll get on with you live, and I'll find something to show you how to do it, okay? Because I'm not with you all personally, but I'm going to be doing things with you all. We're going to pick a pattern, and my first thing that we're going to do, though, is, like I said, I'm going to do a little child's craft. I'm going to show you how to sew on a button, how to sew on a hook and eye, how to sew on a snap, because those are little things, but you need to know how to do them the correct way. And they're not hard, and there's no sense to pay somebody to do that for you when you can do it yourself. It's not hard. And do you need a sewing machine for that? Absolutely not. That's all handwork. And can you make something without a sewing machine? Of course you can. You just have to know how to make the stitches. And I can show you how to make a stitch to hand sew something if you need to. It's not my preferred method anymore because arthritis doesn't like it. But I can do it. And for the most part, I'm going to be showing how to do things on a sewing machine. And like I'd said in my, I guess it was my second video about sewing machines, this is my fourth video. So if you don't have a sewing machine and you don't think this is something that you're going to just want to do all the time, it's just going to be like a little hobby to you, or you just want something cheap to start with, go to a yard sale. Go to a sewing shop where somebody's traded a sewing machine in. I know Sewing Back down here on Broadway. That's who I go to all the time. They have sewing classes. When you buy a sewing machine from them, whether it's used or not, they will give you like 10 sewing lessons on your machine. You bring your machine in there, they'll tell you what to buy, what pattern to buy, and whatever, and they will show you how to use everything on it. Every stitches, everything, they'll show you how to do it, and it's worth it. It's worth it. And it might cost you $25 in materials to make everything during that 10 lessons, 10 weeks that you're going to be taking those lessons. But it's worth it. Why? Because they're showing you how to use every stitch on your machine. They're showing you how to set the tension on your machine. They're showing you how to thread your machine. Every machine's a little different. For the most part, it's the same, but they're not exactly alike. They're close, but not exactly. So sometimes I've sewn on so many different things now, I can pretty much figure out the thread guides and how to do all that and get it run through the tension guides, right? But sometimes, I mean, even this last week, I had to, on my industrial machine, I had to reset the timing on it. And it's something I've learned how to do because I don't want to have to pay every time that something needs to be looked at and adjusted. And I just watched YouTube videos and did whatever I needed to do to figure it out. Once I figured it out, it was like, well, that's easy. I know how to do that now. So I don't have a problem with adjusting tension on whatever machine I've got. I can do it now because I understand. And one thing that I didn't know, and this was for years I didn't know this, it's like if your machine is putting these big loops on the bottom, okay, that usually means that your tension on the top, the little dial, needs to be adjusted. Okay? If it's loose on the top, it means the bottom needs to be adjusted. Hi, Debbie. And those are things that I wouldn't have thought. I would have thought it would have been just the opposite. Hey, Janice. And it isn't. It is just something that you learn over time. And what I also found, I'd say it's close, but it's just not right. There's just something about it not right. It wants to slant, or it's not just straight in a row. Well, I didn't realize this But like on my industrial machine, it has a bobbin case. And anybody that has a machine that comes in from the side that isn't already pre-made down into the hole right in front. Hey, Kathy. No, I did that before I made your purse, baby. I had to do that. But I actually made your purse on my embroidery machine. Simply because it was a thinner material and I didn't have to have the industrial for it. I made her a little purse this week. But the bobbin casing has got a little screw. It's actually got 2 little screws. And if you turn that little screw and make it to where you can just hold by the thread and it doesn't just fall straight down. If it falls straight down, it's too loose. Your tension is too loose on the bottom. So you can tighten or loosen or whatever you need and just let it gradually come down. Or just maybe you might have to even give it a little shake before it'll start coming down. You probably got it right then. And then you can put it back in and just make you some stitches and look at your stitches. And all of a sudden it's like, it's straight. I'm so happy. I can sew now. And that's how I am. I'm like, I'm going to check my stitching before I start out because I don't want it to be ugly. I don't want top stitching to be ugly. To me, that's just like my pet peeve. I want my top stitching to be pretty. And my stitches have to be in a certain order to do that. And I know that. So I've learned that through the years. But like I said, we will study more about patterns and we'll get in depth on them when we actually make something and cut it out, because then I can show you how to mark all the things that are on your pattern. There are darts, there are places that are placement dots, I'll call them dots, and I use that little Japanese hole punch that I showed you guys. I take a piece of leather or vinyl or whatever and slide it up in between the pattern piece and my material, and I'll punch that hole out right on top of it. Just can punch it right out and slide up and do the next one. And then I take my little marking pins, my fabric marking pins that go away, and I mark them right through that hole, right onto the fabric, so that I can see it. So I know where my stop and start is. And how can I get that exactly right? I take a pin and I put it right through that dot and right through the next dot on the other material. Put it there, and we go down and I go up and I find the next one and I put a pin in it. And it holds it in place. And I know I have to sew between here and nowhere else. So, like I said, everything in a pattern is designed by someone, and they have given you step by step how they were intended for it to be made. And here's the top A, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's got a little note, and it tells you it will be necessary to adjust the length of your zipper to the measurement of the back opening from the dot to edge of neck band, less 1/4 inch. So it's telling you it's telling you before you put the zipper in what you're going to have to do. And then it tells you to go on, and it tells you what next to do next. And it just goes on and on and on. And then you can go then it goes on to the next one. This is jumper B. Here's 1, 2. And then on this page, is it this page? Or maybe it's on the back side. Back side of this one. The back side of this one. Goes to 3, 4, 5, 6. Goes all the way down. There's 10 steps into making that one. 10. So I feel like if it's something little, like these are just little kids' clothes, so you know it ain't big, so it can't be much sewing to it. But like I said, we're going to do on our next lesson, we're going to do our little kids fake food, some cookies, some bacon and eggs. I don't know what else. But what I did was I just bought a pack of different colored felt squares. I got 12-inch, I think, squares, so that I could draw me out a shape of an egg and put me a circle. So I got white and I got yellow and I got brown for my bacon, and I'm going to draw me some squiggly long lines, and I'm going to make me some bacon. And those kids can use that to play with in their little pretend cooking stations. I got a great-granddaughter. I know she's going to love it. And she's going to love it for a long time, because why? It'll be fun. It'll look like what she's wanting to make in her little play kitchen. And I've already got cotton batting, and you put, you want enough of the squares and they're not expensive. Felt's not expensive. So you want enough of the little squares to where you can put two together and stick a little batting in between, and we can hand sew them. We can sew them on a machine. We can do anything we want to do with them. And we can decorate up the cookies and hand embroider the top side. We can machine some of them fancy stitches on the machine and put around it to decorate our cookies with. We'll just have a good time with it. But I'll have the machine out, and I'll show you some hand stitches, and I'm going to show you how to sew on a button, how to sew on a hook and eye, and how to sew on a snap all next week. And we're going to start with our little kids craft next week, and we're going to go from there to a pattern. And you all have to let me know in the comments section. It doesn't have to be now. It can be any time that you're watching this throughout this next week. What you would like me to start you off with. Do you want me to start you off with a square pillow? Angie was wanting a pillow to be made out of something. I can even show how to do a memory pillow, Angie, and you can make one yourself. It's not hard. It's straight seams. It's not hard at all. We can do a memory pillow. We can do a pillowcase. We can do a skirt that just out of knit that has a little knit band that goes around it. You all tell me what you want to do. Doesn't make any difference to me. I want to do this for you guys, so I'm willing to do whatever. And I've got all kinds of material. So if you don't have the material and you need some, and hit me up, I'll give you some. I've got plenty. Not a problem. You just have to let me know what y'all want to make, and we'll go from there. But I know what we're doing next week, because I already made that out in my plan. So I will see you all next Monday about 6:15. I'm starting at 6:15 because I've done this at different times to try to see when the majority of my people come on. And if I've done it later, I've done it at 6, I've done it at 6:30, and today I started at 6:15, and I like 6:15 better, because now we're finishing it up at 7, and I'm not going to be holding up anybody that typically eats supper at 7. So I just want everybody to have a great rest of your week. I thank God for letting me have the ability to get on here and do this with you all, and I thank you all for wanting to give me your support by coming on and watching it. And all you have to do is just let me know, be thinking about it, let me know this next week what you want to do, so I can find a pattern that I think will be easy enough for everybody. And like I said, if you want to do a memory pillow or something like that, I can show you how to do that. Memory bears are harder than memory pillows, but they're not hard. There's a lot of stuffing that needs to go in them. They cost a lot more to do. But a pillow, as long as you get a form size of 14, 16, or 18 inches, and you've got enough material to make whichever size that you want, then that's not a problem. And you can If you want to do a memory pillow and you want it to have something put on it, like I have a little thing already in my embroidery machine, I would have absolutely no problem doing an embroidery label for you to be able to sew on your pillow or your bear or your whatever for you for free. That's for a whole different, out of respect for whomever that's died. I don't have, that's not something I charge for, okay? So, especially if I know the person. If I know the person, I might do the whole thing for free, okay? Just because I would feel good about doing that for somebody. But at any rate, I just wanted to tell y'all have a great week. May God bless each and every one of you, and may we all have a great week and come back together next Monday. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye.